Hey guys, so today I'm going to be using the last eyeshadow palette from the Fire Dragon vs. Ice Dragon collection. It's called Mythicool Creatures, and it's pretty, but not the easiest palette in the world to work with. The transition shade is pretty typical. It's fairly light. The brow bone highlight shade is pretty average, normal type of highlight color. The problem is this blue is crazy, crazy pigmented. And this shade is a beautiful purple duochrome. It flashes like purple and blue together, but it's not pigmented hardly at all. But it's got this like luminous quality about it. So if you put this on your lids, even if you use an eyeshadow primer, it doesn't show up very well. Then you go in with this blue and it just overwhelms the whole thing and you can't really blend it out very well and you run into problems. So my solution to that is, in order to get this purple to show up properly, you need to use a black base. A black base is going to take a light colored eyeshadow and just make it pop and make it so much more pigmented than it normally would be on its own. So first though, I'm going to start with a regular eyeshadow primer. By the way, I have all my face products on already. If you want to see what they all are, they're in the description box. But I should point out, since it's part of this collection, that I do have on the Winter Falls in LA face highlighter from this collection. And it's the white one that has the dragon embossment on it. So that is my face highlighter, which is poppin'. And I used the brush from this collection. This is the highlighter brush from that collection. And then I applied my bronzer with the bronzer brush. These brushes are so gorgeous, you guys, and there's only 2 on each display. So when this collection does get released, whenever that might be, if I had to guess, I would say, I'm talking about on the Wet n Wild website. Right now they're pushing the Zodiac collection, so I would say maybe the last week of July or definitely sometime in the month of August. But this is their fall collection, so it will be released eventually, but I don't know when. But yeah, what I was going to say is if you end up getting this in store, there's only 2 brushes of each on the display. So 4 brushes in total. So your chances of finding these aren't very good. So I would recommend, when this collection does get released on the Wet n Wild website, to get them there, because you probably have a much better chance than trying to find a display that hasn't been all picked over. Okay, so yeah, let's start then with just a regular eyeshadow primer. I'm going to use LA Colors eyeshadow primer. So I'm just going to put some of that all over and blend it with my finger. I did do my brows also ahead of time because I just did them in yesterday's video. So I figured I would skip out on them today, because that is such a time-consuming thing. Yeah, I've played around with this palette more than once, and it's such a huge difference in pigmentation there, because this purple is like an ethereal, luminous, light shadow, and then this blue is so intense that it makes it hard to do a look with them together. I've done looks pulling in other products, but I really wanted to just use this palette in today's video. And the only way that's gonna work is to use a dark base. So this is LA Colors Jumbo Eye Pencil in Sunglasses, and it's just a black base. So whatever you have for a black cream base, then I would suggest that. You can take a brush and go over the eyeshadow, or you can use your finger, whichever you prefer. So I think I'll use my finger. It's a little messy, but it sometimes is easier to blend it out because you get the warmth from your body to help it blend. So I'm just going to put that on the lid. And just make sure that whole lid area is covered. Now, I'm not going to bother to do the crease too. I mean, some of it got in the crease anyway. But that blue doesn't need any help. So this is really just for the purple that we're doing this. Now, I'm not going to use too much because I already put an eyeshadow base underneath this, so we don't want it to be too thick or too moisturizing, or too moist, I should say. Okay, so I just have a light layer of that black on there, and hopefully that will be enough to get this purple to work. You know what? I think instead of using this Royal and Langnickel shader brush, I think I'm going to grab something else. I just grabbed my MAC 239 brush. I'm hoping that will work better. So I'm just going to pack as much of that onto the brush as I can. Okay, the black did help somewhat, but it's still a very light, luminous type shadow. But the black definitely helped. It's a pretty color, but it almost gives you that effect like, I hate to say it, but like you got punched. Sometimes these purple shades aren't that easy to wear. Depends on your skin tone, of course. Different colors and depths of color are going to look different on everybody. But on me, it can look like bruising. Okay, now I'm going to take this fluffy brush, blending brush, and dip into the transition shade. And I'm just going to buff some of that into the crease. I'm going to take an e.l.f. contour brush and go into that brow bone highlight and dust that from the high point of my eyebrow outward. do the inner corners. Yeah, let's blend this a little bit more. Okay, now I think what I want to do is grab another brush. Okay, so what you want to do is, because I know this blue is just crazy, crazy pigmented, is I want to take the smallest brush that I can find. I have this brush. This is from, it's a Harmon brush from Christmas Tree Shop. And then I have these brushes that came in palettes. They have like different size brushes on each side, but you want something small, like this or this, whatever you have that's the smallest brush you have. So I'm going to use this one from Harmon, and I'm going to go into that blue. And I'm going to go into the cover and just kind of try to like knock some of that off and tap it and go right directly in the crease. Like, I'm not going to go above it or anything like that. I'm going to go right in the crease, starting on the outside. Okay, that worked. Yeah, take the smallest brush you can find and put the smallest amount on the brush possible. Because if you don't, it's going to be so dark that you won't be able to do anything with it. You won't be able to blend it, or it's going to get splotchy in certain areas. So I want to just go right in the crease and not go above it and around on the side like I normally would. I'm just going to take a tiny bit more, do the same thing I did before. Because we don't want to overwhelm the other shadow that's on my lids. Because even though I used a black base, it still doesn't have the intensity that this blue does. I'm just going to go right on the edge of my lid. So I'm just putting a little bit extra on the outer corner and taking it up just a tiny bit. Okay, so just same thing, just, you know, put as little on there as possible. Oh, I think I have a little too much on here. This could be a problem. Okay, I'm going to try to blend this one with the brush that I used for my transition shade. Just go right around the edge of that. Then go back with the other brush. You know what, guys? Honestly, I don't know this is worth the effort. The shadows are pretty and you can use it in conjunction with other palettes, but I would have to say to skip out on this one unless you just want to wear this by itself. You could definitely do that. And then as far as this goes, I'm going to drag some of that along the lower lash line. So you could use that like as a pop of color in an otherwise neutral look. But this, I've worked with this palette several times already, and like I said, it's okay if you use it in conjunction with other things, but just as a standalone palette, I don't think it's possible to get the kind of look that you want just from this palette alone. All right, I'm going to switch to my Rite Aid Renewal brush. I'm just kind of dusting this on my hand. Okay, let's keep this moving. Since I have the LA Colors Jumbo Eye Pencil and Sunglasses out, let's use that as a liner too. Almost forgot to do the top. Curl my lashes. I had found this on an end cap. This is the Lash Renegade mascara in Amethyst, Avenging Amethyst. This is limited edition, and a certain percentage of the profits go to some type of animal charity. So I found this on an end cap display at the same store where I found the collection. So this purple definitely goes with these shadows. I don't mind using a black base under the purple shadow to make it pop. That's no big deal. But the blue, being as difficult to work with as it is sort of a deal breaker for me. I don't want to have to work that hard to do a look or try to make something work. It's too bad because they are pretty colors, but something about the texture of them makes them really tough to work with. Okay, I'm going to take the smudger brush that's on the other end of the blending brush, and I am going to put a little bit of that right under that black eyeliner. Yeah, I like that, but I mean, you can see where I had such difficulty like with placement and blending. But let's see what it looks like once I'm all done. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of this ColorMates Nude lip liner right on the edge of my lips, just for that little bit of definition. And then I'm going to go in with the Megaglo Liquid Catsuit Metallic Lipstick in Shall We Slay, which is a gray. This is another one that I'm not sure if it's worth the effort or not. Because you have to use so much of this and keep layering it over and over again. You know what's funny is when you have on like a gray lipstick or a blue lipstick or something, the looks that you get from little kids, it's hysterical. They're just like, they can't figure it out. They can't figure it out because of course little kids don't know anything about you know, artistry or creativity or just using crazy colors in general. And it's so funny, some of the looks that you get. Yeah, see, no matter how much I put on, this one doesn't seem to want to become opaque. But you know something, now that I think about it, I do have, I think, a couple other gray lipsticks, and they're the same way. This is just a really tough color, I think, for the manufacturers to make. So in conclusion, I would say that this lipstick and this eyeshadow palette, my least favorite products of the collection. If I had to do over again, I think I would skip them. Because they're just too difficult to work with. I mean, you can tell by looking at these eyeshadows, even though I blended the heck out of them, that they just, I don't know. Using the black base definitely helped with the purple. And if you really like that purple, maybe it would be worth it to get it, and then you could just use something else in the crease, not that blue. If you wanted to put the blue on your lids, it would be a really intense bright blue. I guess that would maybe be okay, and then just use the transition shade and take the blue up a little bit. I mean, there's different things you could do, but that blue just, it doesn't blend that well because it's just, I don't know. It's intense, but also you can see, like in different areas, it's more blended than others, and I blended that a lot. I used several different brushes, so I would say I would pass on this eyeshadow palette and this lipstick, but I do like all the other things. Now the blue lipstick is also a little bit harder to work with, but you can, if you keep building the intensity on that, it will build, and it will build fairly evenly. But yeah, I think I would skip out on this gray one, and I would skip this eyeshadow palette. But it's totally up to you. You know, you could always use the products separately or with other things, like I said. So that is it for today, you guys. I hope you found this informative, if nothing else. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs up for honesty. Instead of me saying, oh, I love these products, when I don't. I just don't. I'm sorry, Wet n Wild. But yeah, give thumbs up for honesty. And if you're not subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you next time. Bye.